How much time do you waste in a week? How much in a day? How much today? How much time have you wasted? This is a very important lesson we're about to hear from Jordan Peterson. This is episode 1070, the Joe Rogan Experience. I'm Coach Colin, coolest high performance coach in the world. And if you want the absolute best insights to the podcasts and videos you love, hit that subscribe button. This one is a gut punch. We're at 1 hour, 25 minutes, 59 seconds. Let's get into it.
I think one of the factors in the resistance to these ideas of discipline and of taking responsibility for yourself and of a lot of the things that you've been saying in regards to, all the things that we discussed earlier is people recognizing that they're not doing that in their own lives and they get upset, and instead of looking internally, they try to attack the thing that's upsetting them. They attack your message. They attack the philosophy behind it rather than look internally and objectively. And having some sort of introspective point of view where you go, okay, am I reacting to this because this resonates? Like I'm missing this aspect of my life? Is this guy, does this diminish me? Or is this guy pointing something out that I can benefit from? Very few people are willing to do that. Very few people are willing to take that critical moment to look at their own behavior and look at their own thought process and wonder if the actual adverse reaction they have to this person's message is because they know that they're wrong.
Yeah, there's a couple of reasons for that. One is, what makes you think that you're someone we should listen to? Right. It's like, hey, sure. Fair enough, Right. So you got to be poked a bunch to see if that's true. And then the next thing is, it's painful to understand how much of what you're doing isn't productive. So I'll give you an example. So I've done this a couple of times with classrooms full of students. Usually when I'm lecturing about career development, say, okay, how much time do you waste? So then I get the class to vote. How many of you waste 10 hours a day? It's like 10% of the kids will put up their hands. And it's interesting because I don't define what constitutes waste. I just ask the question. So they're diagnosing themselves, right? I'm not saying you're wasting 10 hours a day. I'm just asking. It's like, given your own attitude, how much time are you wasting? 10 hours a day. It's like 10% of the people put up their hands. Well, when you get to like 6 hours a day, 80% of the people put up their hands. So then we do the arithmetic. It's like, because I like doing arithmetic with people. People hate arithmetic, but I like doing it. It's like, okay, 6 hours a day. It's 42 hours a week. So let's call that a work week, 40 hours a week. So that's a work week. Let's say, what's your time worth? You're a university student. Well, it's certainly worth minimum wage, because obviously, but it's worth way more than that, because if you spend a productive hour when you're 20, then you gain the benefits of that hour for the rest of your life. So there's the compounding effect of time spent when we were young. So I say, well, let's assume your time's worth $50 an hour, which I think is an underestimate, but whatever. Let's call it 50. We could call it 25, but we'll call it 50. If that's $2,000 a week you're wasting. It's $100,000 a year. It's like, how much better would your life be if you weren't wasting $100,000 a year? It's like, what is that over 40 years? $4 million. It's like, you're rich. You don't even know it. Quit wasting time. By your own definition. It's like people shake their heads like, oh, I never thought about it that way. It's like, yeah, think about it that way. Don't waste your damn life. And then you think, well, why would people be resistant to that message? It's like, well, you really want to wake up and figure out that you're wasting half your life? And when people do that kind of wasting, they actually hate it. And I've had lots of people come to my clinical practice who were chronic procrastinators. And so they're watching YouTube videos, say, but not ones that are good for them, although sometimes they will do that, but just browsing in that kind of mindless way that you do when you're not paying attention and you're trying to kill time. And people doing that, they feel bad, they get depressed, they feel anxious, they can't get away from it, they feel kind of quasi-addicted.
That's what they're saying about social media now. It's a huge issue with young kids. Absolutely.
But there's this feeling of kind of internal rot and corruption that goes along with it. It's like, yeah, well, you're wasting your life. It's like, so it's painful. It's painful to recognize that. Then it's painful to think, oh my God, look how undisciplined I am. I don't know anything. I can't use a schedule. I can't stick to a calendar. I don't have any aims. I don't know anything about the world, right? And maybe there's a part of me that's bitter because I haven't got everything already. And I'd just like to say, to hell with it. That's the recognition of the Jungian shadow. It's like, that's what makes you vicious and and untrustworthy. All of that. No one wants to look at that, and no bloody wonder. But hey, the alternative is worse.
Man, I remember every time I would work like a factory job, and shout out to all the factory workers. I know how hard it could be. But I remember working in a night shift and just having that realization of like, I really don't know how to do. And like, I wanted to leave and I was like, what would I go and do? Like, I don't know how to do anything. Like, I dropped out of school. I don't have a degree. I don't have any other skills. Like, I just know how to lift stuff and move it around. And I remember that being such a sad realization that like, even if I wanted to go, even though like my heart was like, you should be somewhere else, I didn't have any skills. And obviously I didn't see talking to people and coaching, I didn't see that as a skill. It was just something that I did for my friends all the time whenever I could. But I just figured that was being a good friend. I didn't realize there was a profession in that. But it was such a sad realization, you know? Or just waking up and being 30 and not having done anything. Now I have a wife and everything, but at the time I didn't have a girlfriend or any prospects of having kids. There was zero prospects of having a house or even being able to rent a house. I think I was still living in my mom's basement at the time. It was so sad, like just realizing the exact same thing. Can't follow a schedule, can't stay on track, can't go to places on time, can't do anything. It's a very sad realization to have. And the worst part is when you realize that it's your fault. And that's like, you can try and blame your parents. You can try and blame this past relationship or these people that screwed you. You can try and blame. But in reality, it's all your fault. And that's such a sad, hard realization. And I guess, towards what they're saying, that is why people tend to resist this type of stuff. To resist, feeling this sad feeling that I felt before, and I'm sure that you felt before. It's a hard thing to go through, to realize where you're actually at in the whole scheme of things. And that you have a long way to go, and that you could even feel like, if you're older, I know a lot of people who watch these videos are like 25 to 35, 40 even. And it's like, sometimes you just feel like you're so behind. You're like, I should have been doing this stuff when I was in my early 20s and I'm only getting to it now. And it sucks. It's such a hard feeling. So I could completely understand why somebody would resist these type of teachings or resist even having to hear about it, because you're already beating yourself up so much in your head to now have some external thing also telling you that, yeah, you messed up, and yeah, you didn't execute, and yeah, you should be further along, and it is kind of tragic, and it sucks to hear all that. But if you're willing to improve, then it's fine to hear it. And you have the ability to improve. You have the ability to make up for lost time. You have the ability there. Like, your life's not over. Like Gary Vee often talks about, like, he'll talk to somebody and they're like 30 and they feel like they're so far behind. They're 33. And Gary looks at them and says, but what if you live until you're 90? And the person's like, yeah. He's like, that's another 6. He's like, you're 93. If you live to 93, that's another 60 years that you have. He's like, so you're going to give up now? He's like, you're only a third of the way through life and you're already giving up. So, I mean, what I would say to anybody who resists this type of stuff, to resist hearing about, the things that they need to clean up in life, or resist even embracing it and doing it, do it now. Like, if you're in your early 20s and you feel like you're behind, you're not, just do it now. Whatever it is, whatever you feel like you're not as far along in, whatever you feel like you should have picked up, just do it now. Just do it. Do it now. Like, you have time, but don't waste more time. Get to it now. You know, that's like even with this, like right now I'm doing YouTube. I've been on YouTube since 2015. I could have done this so long ago. And every time I get a new subscriber now, or I get a video that has a few thousand views, I'm just like, I could have did this 10 years. I could have done this a while ago. But I don't let that stop me now. You know, like, you just get to it. Whatever it is, man. You feel like you should have took martial arts 10 years ago? Good for you. Get to it now. You feel like you should have started that business 6 years ago because that was the time when it was hot? Yeah, whatever. Just do it now. Get to it now. Like Jordan Peterson said, your time's valuable. You're worth $100,000 a year, and that's on the low estimate. You're probably more worth like $10 million a year. So get to it now. Whatever it is. Embrace the fact that you're not where you're supposed to be. Be completely cognizant of it. Be completely aware of it. Embrace it completely. Know that you should be farther along, and that's okay. And just get to it right now. It's never too late. You're out of shape. You've been out of shape for 10 years. Get to it now, man. Just do it. You have nothing to lose. The only thing you have to lose is the time that you waste not doing the things. It's the only thing you have to lose. But if you start acting on it now, even in the smallest steps, you're no longer wasting time. You're no longer behind. Now you are on track. That's how you have to see it. I'm out. Peace.